Now on CoastTV News.
A look inside the Situation Room as Operation Midnight Hammer was unfolding. A sea turtle in distress, what Murr and Denreck say to look out for on the Indian River Bay. How one Sussex County community came together for a good cause.
Well, we hit 90 for the 5th straight day, and it's a mild night on Delmarva, and we are really going to be cranking up the heat over the next few days. Near record highs. I think we will break some records in the days ahead. My full forecast is coming up.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
A detailed look inside the largest B-2 bomber strike in U.S. history. Good evening, I'm Brandon Ferguson. Welcome to CoastTV News at 11. We begin tonight with the fallout of the United States attacking 3 Iranian nuclear sites. Military officials are revealing more about Operation Midnight Hammer. The Pentagon says all 3 nuclear sites sustained extremely severe damage and destruction. NBC's Peter Alexander has more.
Tonight, the new video, B-2 bombers returning to their Missouri base after those secretive strikes. And now our first look at the targets they hit inside Iran. These before and after images show the massive impact of the U.S. attack on Isfahan, one of 3 Iranian nuclear facilities hit.
Initial battle damage assessments indicate that all 3 sites sustained extremely severe damage and destruction.
The commander-in-chief with this declaration overnight.
I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
Pentagon officials say it's too soon to tell, but tonight the U.S. is also preparing for potential Iranian retaliation, though the Trump administration emphasizes the attack was intended as a limited one-time strike.
We're not at war with Iran, we're at war with Iran's nuclear program.
President Trump inside the Situation Room with Vice President Vance, his Secretaries of State and Defense, as well as Chief of Staff Susie Wiles and Joint Chiefs Chairman Dan Kane. The president issuing this warning to the Iranian regime.
Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen.
The historic U.S. military operation complex and choreographed. The nuclear sites targeted, Natanz, Isfahan, and Fordo, buried deep beneath an Iranian mountain. The U.S. adding the element of surprise, with the president giving the final green light 48 hours after announcing he would take up to 2 weeks to decide whether to strike.
Just a time to see whether or not people come to their senses.
First, the apparent decoys. On Saturday morning, B-2 stealth bombers launching from Missouri flying west. Hours before the B-2s used in the actual strikes headed east. The U.S. deploying 14 30,000-pound bunker-busting bombs for the first time in a military operation. In this satellite image of Fordo, if you zoom in, you can see several holes from the bunker-busting bombs, which explode underground. The B-2s also dropping them on Natanz.
They dropped 30,000-pound bombs on a target the size of a washing machine.
U.S. submarines firing Tomahawk missiles to hit the Isfahan site. In all, 125 U.S. warplanes and 75 precision-guided munitions used. And the Pentagon says Iran never fired a single shot.
This operation underscores the unmatched capabilities and global reach of the United States military.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth pinning the praise on President Trump.
Many presidents have dreamed of delivering the final blow to Iran's nuclear program, and none could until President Trump.
And after Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard in March said Iran had an unprecedented amount of enriched uranium for a non-nuclear state, but that the Ayatollah had not ordered the development of a nuclear weapon, Secretary of State Marco Rubio argued the Iranian threat was urgent.
It doesn't matter if the order was given. They have everything they need to build nuclear weapons.
Peter Alexander, NBC News, the White House.
Several homes were reduced to rubble and buildings were damaged when an Iranian missile struck a Tel Aviv neighborhood today. This just hours after Trump said the U.S. had obliterated Tehran's key nuclear sites. Tehran vowed to defend itself and responded with a volley of missiles at Israel that wounded scores of people and destroyed buildings in its commercial hub. At least 18 people were wounded in Tel Aviv. Media reported Iran called the U.S. attack a grave violation of international law that would have everlasting consequences. The State Department has issued a travel warning for Americans traveling overseas. They are urging Americans to use worldwide caution for any travel. On their website, travel.state.gov, the last worldwide caution was issued in May of 2024. They asked travelers to check their websites for any updates. Law enforcement agencies around the U.S. are now on high alert following President Donald Trump's announcement of the U.S. military airstrikes on those 3 nuclear facilities in Iran. The Department of Homeland Security, alongside the FBI and other federal, state, and local agencies, are tracking intelligence for any potential threats. This in addition to the security postures around several key areas in the U.S. Capitol, which have increased since the conflict between Israel and Iran broke out earlier this month. Americans could start paying more at the gas pump after those U.S. military strikes on Iran. Oil prices surged late Sunday. U.S. oil futures jumped 3.6% to about $76 a barrel. Some experts predict oil prices could go even higher, perhaps high as $80 a barrel. Oil hasn't traded that high since last January and has largely stayed between $60 and $75 a barrel. That has helped lower gas prices to under $3 a gallon for many Americans. Now back here locally, we're going to take a live look into Milford, bringing our first alert meteorologist Chris Mastrobuono. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening, Brandon. We have heat getting ready to build in full force across Delmarva. 5th straight day we hit the 90-degree mark, even with some added cloud cover we had today. 92 was our high in Georgetown. We saw a high of 90 Salisbury, 91 in Cambridge, and a high of 89 in Ocean City. It's been a steamy night as humidity levels continue to rise. 71 degrees in Ocean City, that dew point 75, so we're beginning to see that uncomfortable air mass work into the area. We're in the lower 80s across the shore, 81 in Rehoboth, 82 in Lewis. Further inland, 77 in Georgetown. You're at 78 in Seaford. As I mentioned, those dew points are in the mid-70s, so very uncomfortable, and it's going to stay like that here over the next few days. We had some clouds that moved through as a storm system kind of fell apart to our north. We had some remnant cloud cover. High pressure is locked in. All the players on the field are there, and we are set. And we are going to see these temperatures really begin to rise here as high pressure kind of dominates here over the next 4 days, locking us into this high heat and humidity weather pattern. In fact, we are going to be near record highs, I think, by Tuesday and Wednesday. We have red alerts in play Monday and Tuesday. When you factor in the heat and the humidity, it's going to feel like 105 to 110. So you want to limit your time outdoors, take frequent breaks, and drink plenty of fluids. We have heat advisories up for the entire peninsula. Those going to affect tomorrow morning through Tuesday. We also have extreme heat watches in effect for our southern counties. That goes into effect Tuesday morning through Wednesday. We're looking at a high of 86 for our Monday across the coast. Some areas could top out in the lower 90s, and inland and the eastern shore, we are going to bake in the mid to upper 90s. We'll talk more about the heat and when we could see some thunderstorms roll back into the picture in that full 7-day forecast. Brandon.
Thank you, Chris. The Peninsula community competed in games to see who would end up on top. CoastTV News reporter Kevin Cepay shows us how all the fun and games made a positive impact in Sussex County.
Inside the Peninsula, a community in Millsboro, there was an Olympic-style competition. Susan Bees, who helped make sure this event came to be, says it's also for a good cause, raising money for Special Olympics Delaware.
To be able to do this for Special Olympics, to do something larger than ourselves, to bring our community together, I think that is just what we should all really have a chance to do.
On Sunday, around 400 people in the community watched the event that had 12 teams competing for first place in the neighborhood. Pickleball, tennis, and basketball were just a few activities teams were competing in. Rich Gilman was on the Orange Crush team, and with only 2 medals at the midway point, he's afraid their hopes for first place may already be crushed.
I don't know. That's kind of tough. I know we have 2 bronze medals in our pocket, one for golf and sports trivia. But so far, it's a long way to go.
The second half of the day brought the largest crowds, with a lip-syncing competition, as well as some karaoke. At the end of it all, the Dream Team ended up on top. But looking back at the day, everyone seems to be a winner, with money going to a good cause and people coming together to make lifelong memories.
Susan's doing a fabulous, fabulous job. This is a great event. She's amazing.
I'd like to thank everyone that has come out to be part of making a difference. And I hope anyone out there watching is saying, gosh, I want to do this too.
According to Bees, she hopes more communities do events such as this, not only to bring locals together, but to raise money for a good cause. I'm Kevin Zappe in Millsboro, Coast TV News.
Boaters are being urged to stay alert after a sea turtle was reported in distress yesterday afternoon. According to MER, the animal was seen servicing rapidly and appeared to be struggling. DENREC and MER responders searched the area using sonar but cannot locate the turtle. It was last spotted in about 12 feet of water. Anyone who sees the turtle is asked to stay nearby until help arrives. MER stresses that only trained teams should attempt to rescue the animal due to risk to injuries and the humans and turtles as well. A new phone scam is hitting Delaware drivers. The state's Division of Motor Vehicles says this new scam is asking people to pay outstanding traffic violations with a link. The DMV says both them and EasyPass will never ask for payments over text or email. So if you get one of these, do not click that link. You can report it to the Federal Trade Commission or the Internet Crime Complaints Center. On your screen now is where Rehoboth Beach Police say 18-year-old led officers on a high-speed chase before crashing into 2 cars on Coastal Highway and Shuttle Road. Rehoboth officers say Isaiah Stokes ran from police on June 18th. When the chase ended in Stokes crashing, the only injuries reported were to Stokes himself. He was taken to an area hospital where he was treated and released. He now faces several charges, including 1 felony and multiple misdemeanors. A longtime member of the Salisbury Police Department has died unexpectedly. Senior Corporal Ryan Mitchell was found at his home dead on Friday, June 20th. Mitchell served the department for 30 years, working in patrol, tactical operations, investigations, and most recently as a patrol supervisor. Funeral arrangements are being finalized, and the city is asking the community to keep his family and fellow officers in their thoughts. Delaware's governor is now supporting for increase in tolls in the state. DelDOT says the toll increase is to cover rising costs and decline in gas tax revenue. And we're talking a major increase here. At Route 1 toll plazas, Delaware Easy Pass users would see a 50-cent increase on weekdays and a $1 increase on weekends. Those new tolls would be $1.50 on weekdays and $4 on weekends.
I think it's important we fund our transportation needs. If you look at the rate of inflation over years, the rate of tolls that we charge is actually way down in real numbers, right? It makes it hard to increase, but I will be signing that.
The governor said these toll increases would directly support improving and maintaining the state's transportation infrastructure. This will be the first toll increase on Route 1 since 2007. Tune in tomorrow morning for Coast TV News as the continued reaction and fallout of the U.S. striking 3 Iran nuclear sites. Also locally, tune in for safety concerns in Georgetown. The town is one step closer to making safer for bicyclists and pedestrians.
Well, it gets hot extremely quickly in an inside closed car. Within 10 minutes, 109 degrees, and that's just with a temperature of 90 degrees. We're going to be well over that 90-degree mark. Your full 7-day forecast in minutes.
It's peak tick season. DENREC has some tips to help you stay safe this summer. And a shooting overnight in South Carolina. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just 60 seconds. If you've noticed more ticks in Delaware this year, you're not alone. DENREC officials say they found higher numbers this year throughout the state. And you're looking at a Lone Star tick, a common species found in Delaware. The state's tick biologist says Sussex County has some of the highest numbers. They say they expect those numbers to continue to rise throughout the summertime. State leaders say it's important for people to do tick checks after being outside.
It means an increased risk of exposure to tick-associated diseases, both for people and their pets. So it's great that people are being more aware and doing tick checks, and for them and their kids and their pets, because the sooner you can remove the tick, the better.
DNREC officials say it can be difficult to control tick populations. Many of the products used to kill ticks also kill other important bugs if sprayed. Summer is officially here, and the start of one of the busiest travel seasons is also here. With gas prices still the lowest they've been since 2021, AAA expects a record number of people to hit the road over the 4th of July holiday period. It runs from Saturday, June 28th to Sunday, July 6th. During that period, AAA predicts nearly 62 million Americans will take a trip by car. And people traveling by air for the holiday also could set a new record. Nearly 6 million travelers are expected to fly to their destinations. A suspected active shooter was killed at a church in Wayne, Michigan this morning. The Wayne Police Department responded to reports of an active shooter at Crosspoint Community Church in suburban Detroit around 11 a.m. According to authorities, when officers arrived at the scene, they determined that the church security guard had shot and killed the suspect. They say one person was also shot in the leg, but no other injuries were reported as this investigation continues. A shooting at a Juneteenth celebration in South Carolina left one person dead. Deputies were called to the scene at around 10 p.m. last night after a fight broke out. 9 other people were injured, including one that was airlifted to a nearby hospital and 2 people that were severely injured. The coroner has identified the woman who died in the shooting as a 35-year-old. Deputies are still trying to determine who may be responsible for this shooting. A fuel tanker has overturned on an interstate in Columbus, Ohio, creating a massive fire that you can see on your screen. And this view is coming from Interstate 270 on the northeast side of town. You can see the massive plume of black smoke rising into the sky and the tanker truck engulfed in flames. Authorities say the tanker was carrying more than 8,000 gallons of fuel when it overturned and caught fire. The driver is in stable condition at the hospital, and the cause of this crash is under investigation. High temperatures along the coast, how people are staying cool.
Yeah, they are coming. They are knocking on our door. Cambridge and Chrisfield, 98 for our Monday, 100 degrees into Tuesday. I'll have details on how long this stifling heat and humidity is going to stick around right after the break. Well, what a difference a week makes, right? Last Sunday, 68 degrees. This Sunday, 92, as we are in the midst of a heat wave, the 5th straight day of 90-degree temperatures. Now, we're going to see the oppressive humidity really begin to crank in here, and we're going to see temperatures approach the century mark later this week. 76 degrees in Salisbury, 74-degree humidity dew point, so the humidity is very high across the area. See temperatures right now, 80 Bethany Beach, we're at 77 in the Long Neck, 78 in Milton, and we're at 76 Harrington. As I mentioned, the humidity from the coast to inland, we're seeing dew points in the lower to mid 70s, and unfortunately, we're going to stay in that range throughout the week. We may see it kind of fluctuate into Tuesday, but yeah, downright oppressive, and that is why those heat advisories remain into effect for the entire peninsula. These go into effect tomorrow morning through Tuesday night, and we have an extreme heat watch. Dorchester, Somerset, Wacomico, and Worcester counties. That goes into effect Tuesday through Wednesday night. So we had a few clouds that brushed through the area this afternoon as a complex of thunderstorms kind of fell apart across the northern section of the area. We are looking at high pressure, and that's going to be in full control here over the next really 4 days as hazy, hot and humid conditions dominate our weather pattern. Highs 93 to 99 tomorrow, at the coast 86 to 92, and then the core of that heat takes over Tuesday, and then even into Wednesday and Thursday we're going to be battling some triple-digit heat indices. 96 Georgetown, 91 Rehoboth, 95 in Milford, 98 Vienna, 97 in Cambridge, and 97 in Salisbury, as we see those temperatures really begin to bake through the inner part of the peninsula. A bit cooler at the coast, 86 in Rehoboth, but our warmer spots, Dewey, Lewis, coming in the lower 90s. So there's the heat tomorrow, hazy, hot and humid conditions. Not going to get much relief at night. Temperatures are going to barely drop below 80, upper 70s to lower 80s, so that's going to help us get near the 100-degree mark into Tuesday. And then as we go into Wednesday, we're looking at that heat to continue. So there's those real field temperatures as we go into early tomorrow afternoon, feeling like 104 in Millsboro. We're going to see those heat indices anywhere between 104 to 110 Tuesday into Wednesday, still dealing with heat indices of 105 in Georgetown. And then I think one last day of the triple-digit heat indices comes into Thursday before we see this heat wave break. So there's the records. 100 is the forecast for Tuesday, the record 97. Wednesday, 97 is the forecast, the record 96. Last day we hit 100 was back in 2019, and there's those scorching pavements. Keep a close eye on the pets, the dogs, the cats. Asphalt gets to 140 degrees with just a temperature of 95. We're at a muggy, mild 75 overnight. 98 is that sweltering heat. It really locks in 100 on Tuesday as red alerts are in effect both Monday and Tuesday. 97 into Wednesday, and then we begin to see the shower and thunderstorms roll back into the picture Wednesday right through next weekend.
Thank you, Chris. As you mentioned, what could be a record-breaking heat wave is right around the corner. And Coast TV News reporter Ana Sofia Roman was in Rehoboth Beach last week to see how people are preparing for the high heat on the coast.
People walking up and down Rehoboth Avenue and others walking into the ocean. That was the scene in Rehoboth Beach on the hottest day of the year. First-time visitor Tim Michael shares how he's dealing with the heat.
Been here about 4 hours, plenty of water, keep hydrated, and every so often go into the water. The water is beautiful.
Businesses like Archie's were busy all day.
We're keeping cool by getting this lovely orange juice, fresh orange juice, at this little place here.
And when water isn't enough, a frozen sweet treat is always a great option. That's the move Bessie Johnson made today, which is also her birthday.
It is keeping me cool. It's delicious, and I enjoy eating ice cream.
Finding ways to stay cool in the hot days ahead.
Coming up, millions don't know they have this disease. We have the symptoms and what disease next as we look at your health news. In your health news tonight, it's estimated to affect up to 100 million adults in the U.S., but many have no idea they have fatty liver disease. According to the American Liver Foundation, if left untreated, one type of the disease can lead to liver cancer and raise the risk of heart conditions. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has more on the disease and what one who has it has to know.
In 2001, at the age of 45, Pam Miller went in for gastric bypass surgery.
I was finally going to get rid of all the weight that I had because I weighed nearly 300 pounds then.
But she says that surgery was aborted. There was a major problem with her liver, and she had no idea.
I really had no symptoms. Even my blood work was normal.
Back then, Miller says she didn't know anything about non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. It's caused by a buildup of fat in the liver that interferes with the organ's functioning, and that's what she was diagnosed with. On top of that, her doctor told her it was stage 4.
He told me I had approximately 6 years to live, that there was no cure, and, basically, good luck.
Miller decided to get a second opinion at the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center and learned about how lifestyle changes can help. For her, that meant weight loss.
It's so important to really increase awareness for this condition and for patients to ask their doctors
whether or not they need to be screened for it.
Dr. Vivek Mendarata says sometimes blood work can detect a problem, but there's also a screening called FibroScan that quickly examines the liver.
It's essentially just an ultrasound that takes about 10 or 15 minutes. There's no poking, no needles.
It's now been 24 years since her diagnosis, and Miller is still maintaining healthy habits.
I think this is God's will that I'm supposed to get out and teach others that you need to listen to your body.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The doctor says there are many potential medications on the horizon. He says it's been shown in studies to reduce inflammation and scar tissue development in the liver and can work hand in hand with lifestyle changes like weight reduction and blood sugar control. After the break here on Coast TV News at 11, as we take a live look into Salisbury, we have a final check on your forecast. A special congratulations goes out to our Coast TV team, especially our Assistant News Director and Anchor, Madeline Overturf, also our Director of News Photography, Ted Corriero. Last night, they took home a Capital Emmy under the Chesapeake Heritage News Feature category for their phenomenal story on Return Day, a tradition unique here to Delmarva. You can check out the full story on our website, coasttv.com. Just search for Return Day. Congratulations again to Maddie and Ted.
Oh yeah, big congratulations to Maddie and Ted there. Brandon, I got my wall unit air conditioner right here, keeping me cool. Well, wear loose, light fit clothing, light colors. Drink plenty of fluids here over the next few days because we're going to be seeing these dangerous heat indices anywhere between 100 to 110. You want to limit your time outdoors. If you have to be outdoors, you want to take some frequent breaks. Wear a hat, sunglasses, load up on the sunscreen, and yes, spend time in that AC when you can and drink plenty of fluids there, primarily water. You can get your forecast anytime by dialing the First Alert Weather Phone, sponsored by Brockstead, Mundalis, and Federico. Now your 10-day forecast shows those red alerts in play Monday through Tuesday. We're at 100 degrees on Tuesday, likely breaking the record of 97 set back in 2012. Now, we are going to see close to record highs Wednesday as well. I think we break the heat wave Thursday, but then we introduce thunderstorm chances each afternoon, some of which could be on the strong to severe side. We'll have more on that later on in the week, but we do keep the thunderstorm threat in play right through next weekend.
Thank you, Chris. You're the guy to go to for weather graphics. The grill graphic yesterday and the AC one today, phenomenal. Thank you for joining us today for Coast TV News at 11. For more news and local weather, download our Coast TV News app. We'll see you in just a few hours for Coast TV News today, starting at 5 a.m. Have a great night.